You don't have to try. Well, you're listening to Pacifica Radio's Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman, and I'm joined right now by one of the greatest writers of Indonesia, the fourth largest country in the world. He is Pramoedya Anantatur, author of many books. His latest is called The Mute's Soliloquy. Much of his writing has to do with being in exile or being imprisoned, because in fact, for a third of his life, he has been imprisoned. We welcome you to Democracy Now! Just to say welcome.
Okay.
We can edit.
Okay. Ini kan seakan-akan ini live di radio. Jadi dia baru mengucapkan selamat datang di program radio ini. Yeah.
And so I said welcome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what the Mute Soliloquy is based on? Can you talk about your exile in Buru Island?
Buku The Mute Soliloquy atau dalam bahasa Indonesia nyanyi tunggal seorang bisu. Nyanyi sunyi seorang bisu. Berdasarkan apa? Dan tolong dijelaskan kehidupan Bapak selama di Pulau Buru.
Buku itu adalah catatan-catatan pribadi sebetulnya.
The Mute Soliloquy was composed from notes that I had made on the island.
Yang semula ditulis untuk anak-anak saya sendiri, bukan untuk orang lain.
These notes were in fact letters that I had written for my children, for no one else other than my children.
Untuk memberikan kesaksian bahwa anak-anak saya itu pernah punya seorang ayah, yaitu saya itu.
It was my way of showing my children, or hoping to show my children, that they once had a father.
Catatan itu saya buat untuk menghadapi kemungkinan saya mati di sana, baik mati secara alami maupun dibunuh.
I wrote them because I always thought that I could very well die on that island, either naturally or be murdered.
Jadi itu ditulis apabila pengawasan terhadap saya itu kendor atau tidak ada.
So I wrote only in times when the military was out of the scene.
Begitu selesai ditulis langsung disembunyikan. Karena kalau kedapatan oleh mereka itu akan menjadi jaksa dan hakim sekaligus terhadap diri saya.
As soon as I had finished one section, I'd hide it as quickly as possible, for I knew that it would become both my judge and executioner if they were found.
Jadi saya tidak pernah baca kembali. Begitu selesai disembunyikan, kalau sudah cukup banyak diselundupkan keluar.
So I never had the chance to read them again. I hid them and then whenever possible had them smuggled off the island.
Why take the risk?
Tapi mengapa ambil risiko?
Risiko, yaitu semua kertas-kertas saya sudah sejak ditangkap dihancurkan semua.
Well, ever since I was incarcerated, anything I wrote was destroyed. Tapi kenapa berani ambil risiko?
Ya, semua itu harus ditempuh. Sebab kalau tidak, bukti-bukti yang historis akan hancur sama sekali, atau berarti tidak ada apa-apa.
I felt that I had to put down in writing an historical record, make something so that the future generations would know.
Artinya ya hidup saya tidak ada.
Had I not been able to do that, or had I not done that at all, would have meant that I did not exist.
Dan catatan-catatan ini belum pernah sampai ke tangan anak-anak saya.
And as you probably know, these letters that I wrote were never sent actually to my children. They never read them.
Why? How come your children never got them?
Mengapa nggak pernah sampai di tangan anak?
Tidak bisa lewat pos.
of course, I had no way of posting them. All mail on Buru Island was extremely censored. We were allowed only one postcard a month. Anything more than that was taken from us. So these were taken out by the Catholic priests.
Semua yang surat yang keluar dari Kamp Pulau Buru harus lewat sensor. Boleh atau tidak, sensor yang menentukan.
Yeah. Anything that any written material had to be censored by the military authorities.
Why were you imprisoned on Buru Island?
Mengapa Bapak dibuang ke Pulau Buru?
Sampai sekarang saya tidak tahu.
Up to the present date, I still don't know why.
Tidak pernah ada pengadilan.
There was never a court.
Tidak pernah ada tuduhan resmi.
There was never a trial. There was never an official charge lodged against me.
Tidak ada kesempatan untuk membela diri.
And of course, no opportunity to ever defend myself.
And how many years were you there?
And how dan berapa tahun Bapak di dalam penjara atau di?
14 tahun 2 bulan.
I was incarcerated for 14 years and 2 months, 10 of them on Buru Island.
What kept you going?
Kenapa atau bagaimana Bapak bisa bertahan? Apa yang memberikan semangat supaya bisa bertahan?
Ya karena semua ketidakadilan harus dilawan dengan cara apapun yang mungkin harus ditempuh.
I think it was my desire, my need to fight injustice that kept me going.
Jadi yang membuat saya tetap hidup selain perlawanan dengan cara apapun juga kontrol internasional.
I had to use any means possible, and for me, of course, writing as my trade, that was what I used. But I'm fortunate that we had the international community also looking after me.
When were you first arrested in Indonesia?
Pertama kali dipenjarakan di Indonesia kapan?
Itu tahun 47 sampai akhir 49 oleh Belanda.
Well, I was first arrested in 1947. I was held under the Dutch, or by the Dutch military authorities for 2 years.
And then?
Dan kemudian?
Kemudian dalam orde lama yang karena menulis buku Wakio di Indonesia itu.
The next time took place in 1959 after I had finished writing a book I called The Chinese in Indonesia.
So that was under Sukarno.
Jadi itu di bawah pemerintahan Soekarno.
Di bawah pemerintahan Soekarno, tapi yang melakukan penahanan, penculikan segala angkatan darat.
It was beneath the Sukarno presidency, but it was actually the army that kidnapped and detained me.
And in that book about discrimination against the Chinese in Indonesia, we see that continuing today. Why?
Tadi kan Bapak ditahan karena menulis buku itu Wakyao di Indonesia. Tapi sampai sekarang juga ada diskriminasi terhadap orang Cina. Kenapa masih ada diskriminasi itu?
Ya diskriminasi itu ada karena itu suatu permainan kekuasaan saja yang mencari kambing hitam.
The discrimination you see today can be blamed on this. Sorry, I'm going to start over. The discrimination against the Chinese that you see today is a power play by the authorities. They're always looking for scapegoats.
Ya, mahasiswa demonstrasi untuk menjatuhkan Harto, kekuasaan Harto menunggangi demonstrasi itu dengan kerusuhan-kerusuhan, terutama ditujukan pada minoritas Cina.
After the students rose up against Suharto last year, the authorities tried in any means necessary to distract attention, and one of that was to provoke these riots against the Chinese.
Itu bukan pertama kali terjadi.
Of course, that wasn't the first time that has happened in Indonesian history.
What is it playing on, though? What is that underlying feeling about Chinese and Indonesia?
Tapi kok bisa terjadi begitu? Maksudnya orang begitu gampang dihasut. Ada apa sampai orang Indonesia bisa begitu?
Itu militer menurunkan pasukan dan mengerahkan para militer untuk menyilahkan orang, menyerbu toko-toko, menangkapi orang-orang Tionghoa, membunuh, memperkosa.
Well, last year it was the military behind it, or at least as I see, it was the military who brought in the troops, who then brought in the people, got them to burn the stores, to loot, and to rape.
Di samping membunuhi mahasiswa yang berdemonstrasi.
And this, of course, after they took to shooting and killing the students who were demonstrating.
As you learned about the students being killed and the students rising up, what were your thoughts?
Waktu Bapak dengar mahasiswa mulai bergolak dan protes mengadakan aksi, itu perasaan Bapak gimana pada waktu itu?
Saya gembira sekali.
I was extremely happy.
Ini suatu kritik dalam bentuk demonstrasi terhadap rezim fasistis militaritis yang sudah berkuasa selama lebih 30 tahun.
I saw it finally as a real form of protest against the fascistic and militaristic authorities that had stayed in power in Indonesia for over 30 years.
Yeah.
May I ask what your thoughts are about East Timor today?
Kalau tidak keberatan, saya ingin tahu mengenai pendapat Bapak mengenai Timor Timor.
Timor Timor itu sesuatu politik yang dungu menurut saya. Karena negara-negara penjajah sudah melepaskan jajahannya, ini Indonesia dan dalam sejarahnya itu anti penjajahan dan melawan penjajahan, kok menjajah.
The situation in East Timor today is the result of mistaken and idiotic policy on the part of the government. Here we have the imperialist countries releasing their colonies, and Indonesia's going in and occupying East Timor. I don't understand it at all.
Do you see hope of the occupation ending and East Timor becoming independent?
Apakah Bapak dalam masa depan pikir Timur Timur akan independen atau merdeka?
Kalau menurut saya sekarang juga harus merdeka.
In my personal opinion, I think it should be free right now.
Sudah terlalu banyak pembunuhan dilakukan di sana. Pembunuhan yang sama sekali tidak ada artinya dalam sejarah.
Too much death has taken place on that island, and for no reason whatsoever.
Do the people of Indonesia understand that? Do they learn that as they're growing up?
Excuse me.
The
Did they
people of
learn what
Indonesia
as they were
about
growing up?
what was happening on East Timor? Did they understand too much death going on there?
Apakah orang Indonesia pada umumnya mengetahui mengenai pembunuhan dan lain sebagainya di Timur Timur?
Orang Indonesia pada umumnya sibuk dengan kesulitannya sendiri.
Most Indonesians are paying attention to their own problems.
Dan yang menyakitkan itu rumah kami yang disita oleh kekuasaan ini sekarang dipergunakan untuk menampung serdadu-serdadu Indonesia yang pulang dari Temtem.
Even I myself don't have time to give proper attention to the problem. Coincidentally, however, my home, which was confiscated and taken from me when I was exiled to Buru Island, is now being used as a temporary barracks by the military for the soldiers returning from East Timor.
Why was Suharto able to remain in power for so long? And then my second question is, why is Habibie able to remain in power?
Kenapa Pak Harto bisa tahan begitu lama dan kenapa Habibie masih bisa tahan?
Ya Soeharto bisa bertahan begitu lama karena dia menguntungkan kapital multinasional.
I
Dia
myself,
naiknya pun dibantu oleh kapital multinasional.
I myself feel it's because he has the power of and has been working with multinational capitalists.
Dan dia itu hanya herdernya kapital multinasional.
He's just the gopher for multinational corporations.
Ya, karena demonstrasi oleh mahasiswa dia mengundurkan diri, tapi sebetulnya masih berkuasa. Yang formal berkuasa sekarang adalah Habibie, tapi itu satu garis saja sama.
The students may have toppled Suharto and and Habibie may have come to power, but Habibie is nothing more than a continuation of the same new order.
Personalianya sama, birokrasinya sama, militernya ya sama, yaitu orang-orang Orba juga.
The people, the bureaucracy, the administration, there's been no change so far.
So what will lead to the freedom that Indonesians sought from the Dutch, sought when they declared independence?
Dari waktu Indonesia kan berjuang untuk merdeka, mereka punya tujuan nasional, dan sampai sekarang belum tercapai itu. Apa yang bisa menuju membimbing supaya Indonesia bisa sampai ke itu, balik ke tujuan itu?
In 1949.
Ya, Revolusi Indonesia dulu mencita-citakan negara Indonesia yang merdeka, demokratis dan modern. Ternyata demokrasi tidak ada. Jangankan modern, makin lama makin primitif, kanibalisme.
When we fought the Revolution of Independence, we'd always hoped for a free, democratic, and modern Indonesian society. But it seems as time go on, it becomes less free, less democratic, and not at all modern. I mean, it looks like it's going towards a cannibalistic society.
Ya, menurut saya, ya harapan saya ada pada generasi muda yang masih bersih dan lebih intelektual dari mereka semua itu.
My only hope lies with the young Indonesians, the younger generation of the day. They're smarter than their parents were. They're not stained by the corruption that their parents were stained by.
Dan karena sejarah modern Indonesia itu semua kemajuan itu dimotori oleh angkatan muda sejak tahun 16.
If you know Indonesian history, you'll know that ever since 1916, with the birth of the nationalist movement, progress has always been in the hands of the youth.
Ya, jadi saya juga berpihak pada angkatan muda.
So I always give my support, always stand behind youth.
Right. Let's see. What do I want to ask you? Youth. You've come here to the United States, which is the heart of multinational capital, as you say. What are your thoughts on that and on this place?
Sekarang kan Bapak mengunjungi Amerika Serikat,
Ya.
pusat multinasional dan itu. Jadi kesan bagaimana sekarang lagi tinggal di sini?
Ya, untuk saya datang ke Amerika merasa keluar sebagai pemenang terhadap kekuasaan fasistis militeristis itu. Dan di Amerika memang saya berada di tengah-tengah kekuasaan kapital multinasional. Tapi saya sebagai orang merdeka, bukan sebagai orang yang dirantai.
Sorry, I got okay.
It's
That was too long. But I see my departure from Indonesia and my arrival in the United States as a victory over the fascistic authorities that control the Indonesian government. And though I might be in the heart of capitalism, in the home of the multinational, I'm a free man, and I do feel free here.
Is this your first time in the United States?
Ini pertama kali ke Amerika, Pak?
Ya,
Yes, it is my first time in the United States.
How old are you?
Umurnya berapa sekarang, Pak?
74.
I'm 74 years old.
So, as you walk in New York City, what are your thoughts? What are your observations?
Jadi kalau jalan-jalan di kota New York ini pikirannya apa? Apa namanya, kesannya apa?
Ya, kesan saya melihat ini sebagai perkembangan ratusan tahun seperti ini, yang sekarang ini produk dari perkembangan itu.
Well, of course I see New York City as the product of hundreds of years of growth.
Walaupun dalam perjuangan saya menentang kekuasaan modal multinasional, tapi ini sudah ratusan tahun begini ini. Dengan segala bangunan, segala kehidupan sosial, politik, dan budayanya menjadi begini. Itu sudah wajar. Sebab itu perkembangan ratusan tahun, setapak demi setapak.
Well, what I see, I think it's the complicated. Okay. What I see in New York here is this, hundreds of years of development. Okay, this might be the home of capital, the home of multinationalism. But what I see today it's normal, but it's taken those hundreds of years to get that way. Indonesia is just at the beginning of this process.
Adalah saya jadi orang dungu kalau mempunyai keinginan untuk mengubah Amerika, itu tidak mungkin itu. Ini perkembangan ratusan tahun.
If you'd asked me if I could or wanted to change anything about the United States, I'd just be beside myself. This has taken so many years. I couldn't do it.
How do you feel that it's this country that has, for so many years, propped up, sponsored, financed the regime in Indonesia that has kept you and so many others in prison?
How do you feel?
How do you feel that it is this country, the United States?
Tapi kok ini kan negara ini kan yang mendukung, support, membiayai pemerintahan di Indonesia. Jadi perasaan Bapak gimana tuh?
Ya, saya hanya bisa menganjurkan stop mempersenjatai Indonesia supaya tidak semakin banyak korban. Cuma begitunya saya bisa sarankan.
Yeah, my feelings are not important, but if I were to give a bit of advice, it'd be to stop giving any military assistance to Indonesia.
Kalau mau bantu angkatan muda,
That's if you want to support the young.
biar mereka lebih ringan menuntaskan program reformasinya.
Stop the military support. The students can take care of the reform.
Tapi ya saya menolak seluruhnya di kekuasaan ini, yang korup dan kejam ini.
I want nothing to do with the Indonesian government anymore.
Ya terserah, ini suatu seruan saja dari saya ya.
Yeah, what can I say? It's up to you, it's up to them to do the job.
How did you get out of Indonesia to come here?
Ada kesulitan waktu keluar dari Indonesia? Bagaimana Bapak bisa sampai keluar?
Oh, mudah sekali. Mudah sekali. Tapi itu juga bukan hanya karena Amerika yang mengundang, juga karena kemenangan Angkatan Muda. Saya ikut menjadi pemenang.
I myself had no problems getting out of Indonesia. It was very easy, and actually I see that as one result of the students' victory over the Suharto government.
Waktu minta visa ke Amerika bukan hanya sekedar visa yang biasa, dapat triple visa.
Surprisingly, the United States gave me a multiple entry visa.
Will you be going back to Indonesia?
Akan kembali ke Indonesia nanti?
Ya, setelah perjalanan Amerika ke Eropa baru pulang ke Indonesia.
Yeah, after a number of more weeks in the United States and Europe, yes, I will return.
Right now, the United States and other countries are bombing Yugoslavia, and they're saying they're doing it to save people there. And yet the United States has provided weapons for so long to Suharto. Why do you think there's that dualism and continues to support the military regime there?
Sekarang ini kan Amerika Serikat bersama NATO kan lagi mengadakan serangan pada negara Yugo, mengadakan pemboman di situ. Dan selama puluhan tahun pemerintah Amerika juga memberikan senjata kepada pemerintah Indonesia. Kok begitu ironis? Kenapa itu bisa terjadi gitu? Pikiran Amerika kemana tuh?
Kalau senjata ke Indonesia itu jelas. Itu untuk keuntungan modal multinasional dalam menjarah kekayaan alam Indonesia dan menjarah tenaga murah Indonesia.
The only way I figure it can be that the weapons are supplied, number one, to help the U.S. multinational corporations, and also to keep the Indonesian people in place so that they can pay low wages.
Saya sebagai orang merdeka bicara begini, bukan sebagai tahanan politik.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm free right now. I can talk like this. I'm not a political prisoner.
Can other people speak like this in Indonesia?
Orang lain bisa bicara ngomong begini di Indonesia?
Sekarang mulai bisa, setelah ada gerakan Angkatan Muda.
They're beginning to, now that the students have had at least a partial victory over the Suharto government.
Malah tuntutan supaya Harto diadili makin hari makin kencang.
I see the demand for a trial of former President Suharto growing stronger.
What was Suharto's particular reason for despising you?
Kenapa Pak Harto begitu membenci Pramudia?
Itu juga saya tidak mengerti.
Yeah, I myself don't know.
Semua saya punya dirampas oleh Harto. Semuanya. Bahkan penghidupan, artinya melalui pelarangan buku-buku saya. Naskah-naskah dihancurkan, disita.
I don't understand it at all. And if you read in my book, you'll know that they took everything away from me. They destroyed my books. They took my house. They took my very life and exiled me to Buru Island.
What was the worst part of imprisonment for you in all your years of imprisonment? What hurts the most? What makes it most difficult?
Apa yang paling menyulitkan atau paling menyakitkan selama Pram di penjara?
Itu penghancuran naskah-naskah saya yang belum pernah terbit itu. Yang saya tidak bisa memaafkan.
For me, it was the memory of the destruction of my books and documents.
What do you think it is about young people in Indonesia, in East Timor? They're the littlest ones. They have the least power. What gives them the strength to rise up?
Generasi muda dapat kekuatan dari mana? Itu kan unsur yang paling lemah di dalam masyarakat. Tapi kok di Indonesia, di Timur Timur, mereka bergerak. Mereka dapat semangat itu dari mana?
Ya saya juga sering katakan, peringatkan pada angkatan muda, kekuatan kalian ada pada waktu bersatu dalam demonstrasi, dalam mempersatukan tuntutan kalian. Di luar ikatan demonstrasi kalian tidak punya kekuatan apa-apa.
I keep telling the young people that come to my house to stick together. If they don't stick together, they're going to remain the weak individuals that they actually are. But together and united, they can form a solid front.
Karena itu sadari betul-betul kekuatan yang demonstrasi ini. Kekuatan yang dilahirkan karena berdemonstrasi itu. Sebab di luar itu kalian tidak punya kekuatan dan mudah sekali dibantai.
So participate in and draw strength from that union. Together, you can do the job. Separately, you're going to be the weak individuals that you are.
You have announced your support for one political party, the PRD. Do these elections really have any meaning?
Katanya kan Bapak udah memberikan dukungan pada partai PRD.
Ya.
Tapi apakah pemilu yang akan datang itu punya makna apa tidak? Punya makna, punya arti?
Untuk saya tidak ada. Selama birokrasinya tetap orang-orang Orba, saya tidak percaya.
For myself, I'd say no. As long as the same bureaucracy remains in place, there's not going to be any change.
When will there be change?
Jadi kapan akan ada perubahan? Kapan akan ada perubahan?
Ya, tergantung kemenangan angkatan muda.
Well, that's going to depend on the young.
Sebab yang lebih tua yang pernah berkuasa ini sama sekali tidak bisa dipercaya.
Yeah. You just simply cannot trust the older generation anymore.
So why should we trust what you're saying?
Jadi, tapi minta dipercaya enggak? Kok kita bisa percaya pada Bapak?
Siapa?
Kan Bapak bilang enggak bisa percaya pada orang tua. Jadi apa bisa percaya pada Pramudia?
Saya kan angkatan muda.
I'm still young, for God's sakes. I'm a member of the youth generation.
Do you think Megawati Sukarnoputri represents what her father represented? And did you respect that?
Apakah Megawati Soekarno-Putri mewakili bapaknya, harapan bapaknya apa tidak?
Dia orang Orba juga.
I'm afraid not. She's a member of the New Order too.
Dia memainkan peran konfigurasi demokrasi Pancasilanya Harto sebagai anggota parlemen.
As a member of the parliament, she was one of the same package with the Pancasila-istic government of the New Order.
Dan sebagai anggota parlemen tidak pernah mengangkat soal pembantaian massal dan perampasan kebebasan massal pada masa dia hidup.
The thing that I always have to ask about Megawati is why, as a member of parliament and now as a politician, she has never spoken out against the mass killings that took place in 1965. If she is to represent the interests of her fathers, then she would say something about those people who were killed. They supported her father.
Jadi belum lagi prinsip politik, prinsip moral saja tidak punya di sini.
Yeah. And if one's political principles are such, I just can't imagine what one's moral principles are.
Kalau prinsip moral saja tidak ada, bagaimana kalau main di bidang politik?
And moral principles, or acting on a moral principle, is the key to a clean political system.
Di samping itu saya tidak pernah lihat Megawati itu punya konsep-konsep apalagi di bidang sosial ekonomi.
In addition, I don't see her presenting a platform containing economic or philosophical concepts.
Megawati bukan ayahnya
Megawati's not her father. Her father was a very good man.
Research has been done here to show that in 1965, in the killings, that the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States gave lists of names of Indonesian dissidents to the military, and they would then go out and kill them, and the U.S. CIA would then just cross them off the list. What do you think about that?
Berdasarkan penelitian yang diadakan di Amerika Serikat, ada bukti bahwa CIA membuat daftar orang disiden di Indonesia, dan sesudah peristiwa tahun 65 itu dipakai sebagai dasar untuk pembunuhan orang. Apakah Bapak merasa memang begitu? Dan begitu terjadi?
Ya memang begitu. Dari Kedutaan Besar Amerika Serikat dikeluarkan daftar nama-nama orang melalui seorang kurir kepada Adam Malik melalui seorang kurir pada Harto. Kalau orang dalam daftar ini sudah dibunuh, laporan itu kembali melalui jalur yang sama ke Kedutaan Amerika Serikat.
I have heard that the United States did devise a list, which was sent by courier to Adam Malik and then on to Suharto. And after the person whose name was on the list was done away with, the report would come back through the same channels to the U.S. Embassy.
Ya, sekarang ini nampaknya akan ada gerakan dari keluarga-keluarga yang dibunuh melalui daftar nama itu pada Amerika Serikat. Amerika Serikat mau dituntut.
Yeah, I've heard that there are people actually planning a mass action suit against the United States government now.
Secara jelas saya belum tahu, saya sudah mulai dengar-dengar itu.
Yeah. At this point, that's still in the rumor stage, though.
Indonesians.
Families of those killed.
Well, here we've spent the great bulk of the interview. Well, here we've spent the whole interview talking about politics. And you are actually known around the world as not only a dissident, but a great artist. How do you put the two together?
Ini kok kan saya dikasih kesempatan interview Bapak, saya ngomong politik toh, tapi Bapak juga dikenal sebagai pengarang, bukan saja sebagai aktivis politik. Bagaimana menyatukan peranan sebagai aktivis dan pengarang?
Ya itu satu rahasia yang saya sendiri tidak mengerti itu. Mungkin karena pendidikan keluarga dulu mungkin.
I myself don't quite understand how that's ever happened to me. How I've become both an activist and a writer.
Saya belum pernah memikirkan justru soal pertanyaan ini.
I've never thought about that before, actually. Jadi maksudnya jadi nggak sengaja menjadi itu aktivis politik. Tapi
jadi dengan sendirinya saja.
Yeah.
Saya belum pernah memikirkan ini pertanyaan ini.
No, I've never thought about that. It was never my intent to become a political activist at all. I wanted to be a writer.
Ini merupakan pertanyaan pertama soal ini.
This is the first time anyone's ever asked me that.
Well, so you've become both. Are you proud?
Tapi kenyataan bahwa Bapak menjadi dua-duanya, apa bangga enggak?
Ya, semua yang saya kerjakan berhasil atau tidak, ya itu soal timing saja.
Well, I see everything as a kind of a matter of coincidence. It's just a matter of timing that things happen that way.
Your whole life chronicles the history of 20th century Indonesia. You were there for the Japanese occupation, for the independence movement of Indonesia, your father and mother before you fighting for independence of Indonesia. Could you just talk a little about that continuum?
Riwayat hidup Bapak kira-kira sama dengan riwayat hidup negara Indonesia dan riwayat abad ke-20. Mulai dengan ya gerakan pada awal abad ini, terus pendudukan Jepang, terus ya revolusi dan kemerdekaan dan lain sebagainya. Jadi kehidupan Bapak sendiri mencerminkan abad ke-20. Apa bisa dibicarakan itu sedikit?
I just want to say one thing. You don't have to translate. I have to add for just the listeners to understand. Your whole life chronicles the 20th century of Indonesia. Your parents fighting for independence of Indonesia, you fighting against the Dutch, against the Japanese occupation, then the Dutch again, then independence, then the militarism, the military regime of Suharto, which imprisoned you for so much of your life.
Jadi
I just said the same.
jadi apa namanya, jadi seperti tadi dibilangkan,
just said the same thing.
ya riwayat hidup Bapak kan mencerminkan ya garis. Jadi apa, tolong dibicarakan riwayat hidupmu, apakah memang begitu sejalan dengan abad ke-20?
Ya memang ada juga sarjana yang mengatakan demikian, Theo mengatakan demikian juga. Ya, saya sebagai citra manusia Indonesia dan sebagainya, nampaknya saya bisa benarkan itu.
A Dutch professor, Mr. Teo, once said the same thing. And thinking about it now, yeah, it does seem like my life does reflect the course of the 20th century.
Sebab hidup saya itu isinya ya gerakan kemerdekaan, pendudukan Jepang, kemerdekaan, revolusi, mempertahankan kemerdekaan, terus sampai persoalan demokrasi, dari demokrasi barat ke demokrasi terpimpin, bubarnya demokrasi, naiknya militerisme, fasisme Harto, semua saya mengikuti itu.
Yeah, just as you said, my life, starting with the nationalist movement up through the Japanese occupation, through the revolution, then the fight against the Dutch to keep the country, the independence, then the democracy of the 50s into the guided democracy of the early 60s, the fall of Sukarno, the rise of militarism. Yeah, I have seen it all.
And is it going towards something good or not? I mean, you had the fight for independence, and the Dutch came back after the Japanese occupation. Then Suharto moved in with the militarism, as you said. Are you going toward some kind of light or not?
Maaf ya. Jadi ini sorry. Jadi gimana ya? Ini menuju kemana? Apakah di bola gelinding begini itu akan berhenti di mana? Pada tempat yang terang, yang bumi yang damai itu, apakah kemana nih?
Ya itu yang menjawab sebetulnya bukan saya lagi, tapi angkatan muda. Kalau soal Indonesia ya.
Again, if we're speaking about Indonesia, again I have to say, it's only the youth that are going to be able to give the answer to that question.
Mereka yang menentukan hari depan Indonesia Dan saya pesan asal tidak mengulangi kekeliruan Orde Lama maupun Orde Baru, menjadi dirinya Indonesia yang mandiri.
As long as they don't make the mistakes of both the old order and the new order, but determine the course of their own, I think we have a chance.
And here you are, a young man in America today. What is your message? I hear your message to the youth of Indonesia. What is your message to the youth of the United States as one young man to another?
Jadi sekarang ini sebagai anak muda datang ke Amerika.
Ya.
Kan di Indonesia bicara sama anak muda. Sekarang bicara sama anak muda Amerika. Mau bilang apa pada mereka?
Saya sudah berseru pada Angkatan Muda Amerika, bantu Angkatan Muda Indonesia. Kalian memiliki segala-galanya dan sudah memiliki segala-galanya.
You have everything here. I say help your brothers and sisters in Indonesia.
Any other thing you would like to say?
Ada tambahan mau dibilang apa lagi?
Ya, saya mengharapkan hubungan Indonesia dengan Amerika itu supaya diubah yang lebih manusiawi.
I hope that the relationship between the United States and Indonesia itself at the governmental level goes to a much more humanitarian plane.
Saya harap Amerika berhenti membantu kekuatan-kekuatan yang destruktif.
I hope that the United States will resist from assisting any more the destructive forces that are in power there.
And the World Bank, the IMF, what kind of role do you see them playing in Indonesia today?
Dan Bank Dunia, International Monetary Fund, peranan apa yang akan mereka mainkan di Indonesia?
Ya sekarang ini peranannya membantu.
Apakah mereka bisa, maksudnya apakah mereka bisa punya peranan yang lebih baik di Indonesia?
Saya kira stop bantuan pada kekuasaan Indonesia sekarang. Stop sama sekali. Bukan hanya senjata, juga uang.
Well, I just say stop assisting Indonesia. Cut out all the aid.
Then who will prevail?
Jadi tapi kalau mereka berhenti, jadi siapa yang menang nanti?
Kita tunggu dulu.
For that, we'd have to wait and see, of course.
Well, I want to thank you very much for spending this time.
Terima kasih memberikan kesempatan buat saya.
Ini ditutup saja. Bau apa mulut saya?
Oh, apa?
Kok ditutup saja hidungnya?
Oh,
Mulut apa
enggak. Karena nggak bisa dengar. Gosh, do I have bad breath? you keep putting
I go like
yeah. Any specific questions about the book? No. No.
I was just afraid you had to leave at 4:30, but if I can ask a few questions, absolutely. Well,
That's
let me
what
say
we're
very
in
quickly.
plug.
Okay.
Sorry. Jadi 1-2 pertanyaan lagi mengenai
Okay.
khusus mengenai bukunya.
The Mute Soliloquy. Why did you choose that title?
Just a second. It's not a. I chose the
Direct
title.
translation.
Yeah, it's not a direct translation.
Yeah.
I chose the title.
Uh-huh.
But how about the Indonesian? Okay.
What's the
Okay,
Indonesian
just a
title?
second. Nyanyi Sunyi Seorang Bisu. Mengapa dipilih judul itu?
Ya sebagai tapol itu kan tidak punya suara apa-apa. Lantas kehidupannya itu kan sunyi sekali.
Yeah. As a political prisoner, I had no voice. Living in Buru Island I was completely lonely man.
Itu judul aslinya.
Of course, the Indonesian original is somewhat different from the English translation.
Can you talk a little about the I mean, you talked earlier about the structure of the book, the getting the letters out. This book comes out many years after the letters actually have come out. Can you talk about still the message of the book so many years after you were imprisoned?
Buku ini kan keluar bertahun-tahun sesudah ditulis catatan ini. Apakah di dalam bentuk catatan Bapak dituliskan bertahun-tahun lalu.
Ya.
Sekarang baru keluar bukunya.
Ya.
Apakah ada masih yang bisa disampaikan melalui buku ini?
Ya.
That's his wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Ya pada awalnya.
Hi, Amy.
Hello, what are you doing here?
Hi.
You guys know
I
each
can't
other.
believe
I know. I was going
What
to try
are
to
you
set up an
doing
interview with you with prom, but they said that Pacifica was doing it in San Francisco.
Oh, no. Oh, my God, what are you doing here?
Playing tour guide.
We got about a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
2 more minutes. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yusuf.
Yeah.
Ada.
Yeah. Oh, you know that good. Okay. Oh yeah, you were asking a question.
Ya,
Not
The letters.
yeah. What was the
catatan-catatan itu dimaksudkan untuk anak-anak saya. Kalau itu ada gunanya dibaca oleh bukan anak-anak saya, itu merupakan nilai lebih.
I wrote all those notes for my children, and if now, in their English translation, people find something in them, it makes me all the more happy.
You were on Buddha Island for how many years? Was it 14?
Bapak di Pulau Buru berapa tahun?
10 tahun.
I was 14 years in prison, but I was only 10 years in Buru Island.
Sebagai rombongan pertama masuk Buru, sebagai rombongan terakhir keluar dari Buru.
I was in the first wave of prisoners sent to Buru and the last wave of prisoners that were returned to Java.
What was your release like? How did you feel when you were released? Can you describe the day?
Pada hari dibebaskan, perasaan Bapak apa?
Oh, itu ada ceritanya. Waktu dibebaskan, semua harus menandatangani surat pernyataan tiga buah yang sama isinya, bahwa mereka diperlakukan dengan baik di Pulau Buru. Kalau tidak menyerahkan surat pernyataan, tidak bisa naik kapal.
There's a funny story in that. On the day of my release and that of the other prisoners, we were all told or forced to sign a document that stated that we had been treated well. If we did not sign that document, we were not allowed on the boat.
Mereka sudah naik, kami rombongan beberapa orang tidak juga dapat izin naik.
But there were a few of us who remained on land and were not allowed to get on the boat.
Kemudian Komandan Buru datang khusus pada saya mengatakan, Pak Pram akan pergi naik kapal langsung ke Jakarta.
The military commander came over to me and said, "Come on, Pram, we'll put you on a boat that goes directly to Jakarta."
Nah, karena sebelumnya saya sudah membuat rumus, kalau Orba mengatakan X artinya minus X.
Yeah, because I'd already put together a formula that if the New Order government says X, then the real meaning must be minus X.
Jadi saya waktu itu sudah berpikir saya akan tidak dibawa ke Jakarta.
So what I assumed the man meant was that I would not be taken to Jakarta.
Nah, setelah Komandan Buru bicara sama saya dengan rombongan boleh naik kapal berangkat.
But finally, after that talk with the commander, I was allowed to get onto the boat and leave for Jakarta.
Dan ternyata rumus saya benar.
Tapi nggak benar juga.
Hah?
Kalau berangkat kan bapak bilang nggak.
Tidak ke Jakarta artinya.
See. And I was right because we didn't go directly to Jakarta.
Ya, sampai di utara Madura kami diturunkan dari kapal.
Yeah. North of Madura, off the island of Java, we were disembarked from the boat.
Kapal meneruskan perjalanan ke Jakarta.
The ship then went on to Jakarta.
Kami naik bis perjalanan darat masuk ke pedalaman.
And we were put on buses taken across Java through the interior.
Kami sudah menduga kami akan disembunyikan di Nusa Kambangan.
We assumed that at that time we would be taken back to Nusa Kambangan Island, another penal colony off the south coast of Java.
Tapi waktu di pelabuhan sebelum kapal berangkat itu ada saksi dari gereja Katolik.
But fortunately, at the dock when we landed, there was a Catholic priest standing there.
Jadi mereka ini melaporkan ke Ambon ke dunia internasional, sehingga waktu kapal berangkat sudah ada berita di dunia internasional bahwa ada sebagian rombongan yang dipisahkan.
But fortunately, when we arrived in Surabaya, there was a group of Catholic missionaries waiting for us at the dock. They saw that we had landed there and not been taken to Jakarta. They wired Ambon, they wired the international press, and so it was soon all over the world that a separate group had been taken from the ship.
Jadi sampai di Magelang, rombongan kami yang naik bis dimasukkan ke penjara di Magelang.
The bus finally went to Magelang, where we were put in military prison first.
Di situ menunggu, lantas pindah lagi ke tempat lain, baru kemudian dibawa ke Semarang, dan di situ dengan kesaksian duta-duta besar luar negeri, kami dibebaskan di Semarang.
There we waited, then were transferred again. Then finally a ceremony was held. Present there were foreign ambassadors from Jakarta for our official release.
Jadi rencana untuk menyembunyikan kami di Nusa Kambangan gagal.
So what I think was their plan, that being to send us to Nusa Kambangan, failed.
Dari Semarang kami dibawa dengan bis ke Jakarta, masuk lagi ke penjara lama Salemba, dan besoknya baru dibebaskan.
Yeah, we got on another set of buses. We were taken to Jakarta, put back in the prison where we started, that being Salemba prison, and the next day we were finally released.
Finally, the community of prisoners on Buru Island. Can you talk about who they were?
Terus orang-orang Tapol yang di Pulau Buru, mereka dari golongan atau kalangan apa? Mereka orang apa yang di situ?
Ya, ada golongan nasionalis, petani, golongan agama, petani biasa, anak-anak sekolah.
There were all sorts of people. There were the nationalists, there were farmers, there were even school children there.
Ada juga anggota parlemen, ada juga orang dari CCPKI sendiri.
There were a number of people from Parliament. There were a number of members of the Central Committee of the Indonesian Communist Party.
Ada yang tidak tahu sesuatu juga dibuang di sana.
And then, of course, there were the many innocent people.
And what kind of community did you form?
Jadi berhasil membentuk sebuah komunitas di situ.
Ya.
Jadi dan komunitas macam apa yang dibentuk di situ?
Ya.
Komunitas macam apa yang dibentuk di Pulau Buru?
Komunitas.
Ya,
I mean, was that group of people important? Was that group of people important to your survival?
apakah karena komunitas ini Bapak bisa survive juga, bisa maksudnya saling membantu dengan saling membantu
Iya.
gitu.
Semua kami membuat kelompok-kelompok dengan tugas masing-masing, ya untuk saling membantu. Kalau ada yang sakit dibelikan obat-obatan, bukan dari kekuasaan, bukan. Makan cari sendiri ya dengan jalan bantu-membantu itu.
That's the only way we survived. We established work units with their own responsibilities. When a prisoner was sick, the others would take responsibility for obtaining medicines. Of course, not from the authorities, but through their own means. That's the only way we survived.
Kalau tidak ada semangat bantu-membantu, tumpas semua.
Without that help, we probably all would have died.
Okay, that's good. That's all I'm just going to insert that at the beginning. Well, thank you again very much. So you guys are friends,
Yeah.
and did you come over with him?
No, I'm looking for him now.
I didn't know that.
Well, I haven't been here for long.
Oh, really? The newswires here are filled with descriptions of violence in Indonesia as ethnic violence between groups that simply can't get along. Is that how we should understand it?
Berita-berita di sini menggambarkan kekerasan antara etnis, seolah-olah itu konflik antara etnis yang latar belakangnya panjang. Apakah kita semestinya percaya tafsiran seperti itu?
Sebaiknya tidak dipercaya.
It's better if we do not believe this.
Ini permainan kekuasaan, ada konflik di antara elit saja.
This is a game between the powerful, and it's actually a conflict between elites.
Buktinya misalnya di Tuban itu ada kelenteng. Ada 2 sarjana Perancis menemukan di kelenteng itu cap Kubilai Khan dari abad 13.
At Klenteng, 2 French historians discovered a marker from the 13th century.
Artinya dalam abad 13 sampai abad 20 tidak ada konflik apa-apa antar etnis.
This means that between the 13th century and the 20th century, there was never any conflict between ethnic groups.
Waktu Soekarno memproklamasikan kemerdekaan Indonesia, semua menyambut dan bersatu.
When Sukarno proclaimed Indonesian independence, all of the archipelago was united.
Perpecahan etnis kok terjadi belakangan ini?
How could it be that ethnic divisions happen only so recently?
Itu berarti ada yang membuat dengan tujuan politis tertentu.
This means there are people that are provoking this with particular political aims and interests.
And the last question on Timor, and that is, in East Timor, we see now the Indonesian military arming Timorese paramilitaries. Do you see parallels to other examples in Indonesian politics or history?
Yang terakhir, di Timur Timur kita lihat ABRI memberikan senjata kepada para militer.
For the Timorese, to kill the
Paramiliter.
Timorese.
Supaya orang Timur saling membunuh. Apakah itu ada paralel dalam sejarah menurut pandangan Pak Pram?
Ini semata-mata karena kebijaksanaan kanibalisme yang
This is no more than a policy of cannibalism.
primitif. Sebab kanibalisme itu Indonesia baru meninggalkan kanibalisme baru 170 tahun.
170 tahun.
Ya?
170 tahun. It's primitive because Indonesia gave up cannibalism 170 years ago. Terus?
Pada masanya kanibalisme itu membunuh orang, dagingnya dimakan untuk mengambil kekuatannya.
At the time, people killed and ate other humans to take their power.
Sekarang kalau membunuh penduduk desa itu memang tidak dimakan dagingnya, tapi dia merasa menjadi lebih besar, lebih kuat.
Now, if you kill villagers, their flesh is not eaten, but it's done so that one feels stronger and bigger.
Okay.